5 critical warnings or lessons we must all learn from Jesus' parable or analogy of wolves in sheep's clothing. That's on Matthew chapter 7, verse number 15. Jesus said, beware of false prophets who come to you in sheep's clothing, but inwardly they are ravenous wolves. And in verse number 16, he gives us a clue saying, you will recognize them by their fruits. Remember, Jesus was, is, and will forever be the greatest teacher. So take his analogies or parables seriously. So what is lesson or warning number 1 from this picture that he gave us? Number 1 lesson is that the enemy we are dealing with, the devil, is not stupid. Many Christians have been deceived, and they're still being deceived for the simple reason that we take this enemy for granted. Yes, we have victory in Christ. We have the grace of God. But this enemy, don't take this enemy lightly, because he is not stupid. I am not, raising up this enemy. I'm not trying to blow up, the devil out of proportion here. No, okay? We have victory in Christ. But truth must also be told. We must also understand that the enemy that we are dealing with is not stupid. This is Jesus giving us a picture, an analogy, to say that this enemy is not that stupid, that he will come to you in a wolf's, okay, or in a wolf's flesh. Okay, so this enemy is so intelligent that he knows how to fool people. So he will never come to you, as a wolf, because a wolf is a predator. But look, this enemy, to prove to you that he's not as stupid as many people would think, he will not come as a predator. He will come as an innocent prey, as a weak prey, as a religious and so meek, all right, prey. And you can even despise, and there's not even a warning that there is a danger here or there is a predator. So lesson number 1 that we have to learn from this warning from Jesus is that the enemy that we are fighting against is not stupid. The second lesson that we are learning is that the enemy is a master deceiver. Okay? This enemy, the devil, is a master deceiver. In fact, I always tell people, I always teach that, the biggest business of the devil is deception. Okay? Masquerading into what he is not. That's a master deceiver. And you can see in this picture that this enemy is a ravenous wolf, a vicious predator, okay? A merciless predator. That when this predator attacks, it attacks until everything is destroyed and consumed, okay? It is a predator that doesn't give up when it begins to chase and attack prey. And there is no mercy. But this predator is so intelligent that he is a good and a master deceiver that he will never come to you in appearance of this fierce predator. But this enemy masquerades himself as a sheep. So he puts on a sheep's clothing. So the second warning here, the second lesson is that the enemy that we are dealing with, he is a master deceiver. He is a master of all masquerades. He is a master of wearing masks. So that what you see is not the reality. That's what Jesus is trying to communicate to you and me. That be warned. This enemy is a master dramatist. He is an actor who can act a role that he's not that kind of person or that kind of creature. So the second lesson is that this enemy is a master deceiver. This enemy, masquerades in order to look so innocent, okay, so harmless, okay, so religious, so pious, yet inwardly is a fierce predator, a merciless, a vicious enemy, destroyer. I always say to people that a lot of Christians, including ministers, bishops, apostles, prophets, okay, pastors, reverends, evangelists, will be deceived for the simple reason that they think that the devil is a black, dark, ugly creature with horns. The imageries, I don't know if there's anybody who has seen the devil, but the imageries that we have in our books, I don't think that's the real devil. That's just an imagery that people have come up with. I don't know. Okay, maybe somebody should come forward and prove to us. But you know what? Whenever, the artists show us an impression of the devil, they show us this black, dark, ugly, creature with horn and red eyes and with a trident in the hand and all that. The devil is not black like the artists give us an impression. Actually, Paul says that the devil is a master of masquerades. He masquerades as an angel of light. So the second warning we are getting here is that this enemy is a master deceiver because he masquerades himself Whilst he is a vicious predator, whilst he is a destroyer, he will not come in that way. He will come in an innocent way, in a decent way, in an attractive way, in a glittering attire. By the way, hear this. Nobody and no false prophet, no false minister will come to you and confess or concede that I'm a false prophet. Everybody, including the one that is saved by the devil, including the devil himself, will always announce that God spoke to me, God told me, or I made God. So this enemy, the warning number 2 is that this enemy is a master deceiver. Okay? They will never come in an ugly, dark, figure or whatsoever. No. He will come in a deceiving way, in a harmless appearance, in an innocent and religiously pious approach. And they'll even stand on the pulpit and claim that God has sent them. That's the warning Jesus is giving us by saying, beware of false ministers, false prophets, because they will come to you. They will always come to you in sheep's clothing. All right? Yet inwardly, they are ravenous, vicious wolves. So that's lesson number 2. Lesson number 3 is that, from this analogy or parable of Jesus, of wolves in sheep's clothing, is that not everyone who professes to be a Christian is a real Christian. Not only that, not everyone who professes that he is a prophet of God is really from God. Not everyone who wears the name of church or the name of God is really from God. Not everyone who claims that God has spoken to them. Is it true that not everyone who claims that have been spoken to by God? That's why on verse number 10, Jesus warns us by saying, you will recognize them by their fruits. See you in part 2 of the same.